Have you ever found yourself putting up with things just because you didn't want to make a scene? Because you thought, that's just how they are? Or because the person doing it was close to you, maybe even family? We've all been there. We tolerate behaviors that eat away at our peace. We let them slide. We excuse them. Until one day, we realize we've allowed people to cross lines that should never have been crossed. Here's the truth. Some behaviors are simply unacceptable, not from strangers, not from friends, and not even from family. But here's the problem. Most of us don't recognize these behaviors until it's too late. We brush them off. We laugh them away. We normalize them because deep down, we're scared of losing people. Yet tolerating these behaviors doesn't make relationships stronger. It only teaches others that we will accept being disrespected. And that's why today, we're going to talk about 5 unacceptable behaviors you should never tolerate from anyone, not even from the people closest to you. Because once you see these patterns clearly, you'll never be able to unsee them. You'll understand why your boundaries matter, and you'll feel the quiet strength of knowing that you deserve better. So as you listen, ask yourself, have I been tolerating these behaviors? Have I been sacrificing my peace to keep the peace? By the end, you may realize that protecting your boundaries isn't selfish at all. It's survival, it's self-respect, and it's the first step toward healthier, more genuine relationships. Let's begin. Behavior 1. Constant disrespect. Disrespect is the silent poison of every relationship. And the problem is, it doesn't always come in the form of shouting or insults. Sometimes, disrespect is subtle. It hides in small, everyday moments. It looks like people cutting you off mid-sentence, as if your words don't matter. It looks like eye rolls, sighs, and mocking tones. It looks like jokes at your expense that you're supposed to laugh at. But here's the truth. Consistent disrespect is not a joke. It's erosion. And every time you allow it, a small piece of your self-worth gets chipped away. Think about it. If you tell someone, "That hurt me," and they reply, "You're too sensitive," that's not humor. That's dismissal. That's invalidation. And once this becomes a pattern, the relationship shifts. You stop speaking up. You start second-guessing yourself. You begin to believe that maybe you are too sensitive. But here's what you must remember. Respect is the foundation of every healthy connection. Without it, love collapses, friendship collapses, family ties collapse. And this is why you must never tolerate constant disrespect, no matter how small it seems in the moment. Ask yourself, do the people around me consistently speak to me in a way that honors my humanity? Do they listen when I talk? Do they value my time? Or do they constantly belittle, interrupt, and disregard? Because if it's the latter, it's not just a bad habit, it's a red flag. And here's something important. Even family members do this. Parents, siblings, cousins, sometimes the ones closest to us normalize disrespect because that's how they've always been. But always doesn't make it acceptable. You don't have to endure disrespect just because you share blood. Family who loves you will respect you. Anyone who doesn't, family or not, is simply showing you where their priorities lie. So here's the truth you must hold on to. Respect is not optional. It's not a luxury. It's the bare minimum. And the moment you demand it, you'll notice something powerful. The people who truly value you will rise to meet your standard, and the people who don't will fall away. Both outcomes are a win. Behavior 2. Manipulation and guilt tripping. If disrespect erodes your confidence, manipulation erodes your freedom. Manipulation is when someone twists your emotions to get what they want, and the most common weapon manipulators use is guilt. Maybe you've heard phrases like, "After everything I've done for you," or "If you really cared, you'd do this for me. Wow, I guess I can't count on you." Sound familiar? These are not innocent comments. They're pressure tactics. They make you feel as though saying no makes you selfish, ungrateful, or unloving. But here's the reality. Healthy love doesn't need to guilt you into compliance. True friendship doesn't need emotional blackmail. And real family doesn't make you feel small for setting boundaries. But the problem is, many of us don't recognize guilt tripping as manipulation, especially when it comes from family. Parents may say, "I gave you everything, and this is how you repay me?" Siblings may say, "If you loved me, you'd cover for me." Friends may say, "Wow, you changed, you're too busy for me now." And each time, you're pulled into defending yourself. Each time, you feel a wave of shame. Each time, you shrink. But here's what you must remember. You don't owe anyone your obedience. You don't owe anyone unlimited access to your time, energy, or life, not even family. Love is not measured by sacrifice. Love is measured by freedom. If someone only feels loved when you're bending to their will, that's not love, that's control. And the scariest thing about manipulation is this. The longer you tolerate it, the more you lose your sense of self. You start making choices based on fear of disappointment instead of desire. You live your life to avoid guilt instead of living to find joy. But once you see manipulation for what it is, you begin to reclaim your power, because you realize their guilt is not mine to carry. Their disappointment is not my responsibility. Their control only works if I hand them the strings. And when you cut those strings, you'll notice something incredible. The manipulator doesn't actually lose power. They never had it in the first place. They only had what you gave them. So ask yourself, am I living my life freely, or am I living under the shadow of someone else's guilt trips? If it's the second, it's time to cut the strings.
Behavior 3. Crossing boundaries repeatedly. Boundaries are the invisible fences that protect our peace. They tell the world, this is where I end, and you begin. But there are people who will test, push, and bulldoze those boundaries over and over again. And if you let them, they'll convince you that your limits are unreasonable. Maybe you've set a boundary like, please don't raise your voice at me. I don't discuss my personal life at work. I'm not available after 10 p.m. But they ignore it. They yell anyway. They pry anyway. They call it midnight anyway. And when you call them out, they laugh. They say, you're too uptight, or worse, lighten up, it's not that serious. But here's the truth. It is that serious. Because every time someone crosses your boundary without consequence, they learn they can do it again. And here's the difficult part. Family members are often the worst at this. Why? Because they assume access. They assume entitlement. They assume blood means boundaries don't apply. But love without respect is not love. Family doesn't give anyone the right to override your limits. If someone truly cares about you, they will respect your boundaries, even if they don't understand them, because boundaries are not about control. They're about respect. They're about safety. They're about preserving enough of yourself to keep showing up fully in the world. And here's the irony. People who fight your boundaries the hardest are usually the ones who benefited most when you didn't have any. So remember, every no you speak is an act of self-respect. Every limit you set is a declaration, I matter too. And if someone repeatedly tramples those limits, you don't owe them continued access, because a relationship without boundaries isn't closeness, it's chaos. Behavior 4, emotional neglect and indifference. Sometimes the most painful behavior isn't what people do, but what they don't do. Emotional neglect is when someone consistently ignores or dismisses your feelings. It's when you share your heart and they shrug. It's when you express joy and they act indifferent. It's when you cry and they say, you're overreacting. This kind of neglect teaches you that your emotions are a burden, that your inner world doesn't matter, that silence is safer than expression. And the tragedy is, many of us grow up in families where this is normalized. Parents who provided food, shelter, and clothes, but never offered comfort. Siblings who mocked instead of listened. Partners who dismissed instead of supported. And because it doesn't leave visible scars, emotional neglect often goes unnoticed. But the wounds are real. If you've ever felt unseen in your closest relationships, if you've ever swallowed your feelings because no one cares anyway, then you know the silent ache of neglect. And here's why you can't tolerate it. Because neglect tells you that your humanity is too much. And once you start believing that, you'll begin to dim your light just to be accepted. But you were not made to shrink. You were made to feel. You were made to express. You were made to be seen and loved in your full emotional truth. So if someone repeatedly dismisses your feelings, remember this. Their indifference is not a reflection of your worth. It's a reflection of their limitations. And you deserve relationships where your inner world is honored, not silenced. Behavior 5. Abuse in any form. The final behavior is the one many people hesitate to name: abuse. Abuse is not just physical. It can be emotional. It can be verbal. It can be financial. It can be psychological. And it often hides in plain sight. It looks like constant criticism that tears down your confidence. It looks like threats that keep you afraid. It looks like control disguised as protection. It looks like manipulation that keeps you dependent. And the hardest truth to accept is this: sometimes abuse comes from the very people who were supposed to love and protect you. But no matter who it comes from, family, partner, friend, abuse is never acceptable. Not once, not ever. You may have been told, "That's just how they are," or "It's not that bad, others have it worse," or even, "But they're family, you can't walk away." But listen closely. Abuse tolerated is abuse repeated, and you do not deserve to live in fear. You deserve safety. You deserve respect. You deserve love that lifts you, not love that breaks you. So if you recognize abuse in your life, know this: you are not weak for leaving. You are not ungrateful for protecting yourself. And you are not alone in choosing peace. Abuse is the ultimate line, and crossing it means the relationship cannot continue as it is. Because your life, your safety, and your soul are worth more than any tie, even family ties. So let's go back to where we started. We all tolerate things we shouldn't. We all excuse behaviors out of fear, guilt, or habit. But there comes a moment when you must ask yourself, what is the cost of my silence? What is the cost of my tolerance? Because here's the truth. Every time you accept constant disrespect, a little piece of your confidence fades. Every time you allow manipulation, a little piece of your freedom slips away. Every time someone crosses your boundaries without consequence, your peace gets smaller. And every time your emotions are ignored, your voice gets quieter. And every time you excuse abuse, your spirit carries scars it should never have to bear. But you deserve more. You deserve to live in dignity. You deserve relationships built on mutual respect. You deserve love that feels safe, not love that feels like walking on glass. And here's the most empowering part. The moment you stop tolerating these behaviors, your entire world begins to change. Because boundaries don't just keep toxic people out. They also create space for healthy people to come in. So as you leave this video, remember, you are not asking for too much. You are simply asking for the bare minimum: respect, safety, and genuine care. And if someone cannot give you that, then you are not losing them. They are losing you. So stand tall in your worth, hold firm in your boundaries, and never again apologize for protecting your peace. because you deserve nothing less.